Welcome. I'm Carmen Rodríguez-Peralta, Chair of the Music Department, Director of the World of Music Concert Series. Very, very excited to have the wonderful Cambodian composer, Dr. Chinary Ung here. I've been an admirer of his music for many, many years. This is the first time I actually get to meet him, so I'm very, very happy about this. And I'd like all of you to please welcome him. He's going to talk a little bit about his life in Cambodia, his music. That'll be roughly the first 45 minutes or so. Then I'm going to play 3 short works from his larger piece, 7 Mirrors. Then there'll be a chance for all of you to ask him some questions. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Chinary Ung.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be invited to your institution here. And it's interesting, the topic, informal topic, it has something to do with my journey. And you know, I'm on my earlier 80s, so my journey is like 8 decades. So I have to condense it to like 30 minutes or 40 minutes to you. Again, it's my first time to talk about my background, but I was thinking this morning, I was hoping that some of you guys might relate it to yourself, okay, to figure out how you had gone through your journey from now as a student, for example, and would it be possible for you to envision a future? It might not be there, but somehow you draft it out, you had to zigzag and so forth. And that would be an interesting homework for you guys. So, all right. This morning I come up with a few things, a few points, just to reveal my year. I was born in 1942 in Cambodia. I'm a native of Cambodia and a U.S. citizen here. During my earlier childhood, maybe 2 or 3 or so, 3 years old or so, it was really captivating, it was really inspiring as a child. I was born at that village, Prelavia, Takao, which is the border is next to Vietnam. We never knew we were poor because everyone was poor there, and the edge of the village is surrounded by green, as you can imagine, green rice paddy, right? The environmental sound, in retrospect, it still lasts until now. Okay, that is, of course, is informal education. Okay, for a child of 2 or 3 years old. At night, sometime I woke up in the middle of the night. I heard the singing kite. You know, a singing kite. The kite is really this big, and over here you have a blade like a bow tie, bow and arrow, but you have the blade and you have a blade to vibrate and all that, and it creates like 7 sounds. So you can go through the internet and look at a singing kite or something along the line, and you will see the Cambodian singing kite, and there are other singing kite around the peninsula and all that. So that's one thing. Another thing, I took a nap. I remember during my childhood, probably 3 years old or so, I took an afternoon nap. I imagine it's a tropical country. It was really, I woke up and I went downstairs and then I rushed through the fence. The fan is not like over here. The fan is just bushes, you know. And then there was a cortege of musicians, and their instruments were left, and then they moved across the rice field after the harvest, and they were in the direction to the temple, just the next kilometer or so, and I was taken by that. It's the first introduction to the Penpiet ensemble, which is predominant percussion instrument, with the exception of one or two sralai, which is a kind of equivalent to our Western oboe-like. Okay. To me, in short, it's like I'm listening to music in the paradise. It's really incredible. The impact is incredible. One more example, just to cover that period. We live, I actually was brought up by my grandparents because my parents were not able to support me. They live in a different village in Takao. I was with my grandfather, and he saw the musician approaching on the street, walking from left to right. He said, "Come here, you guys, come here," you know. And then they came. That was a very different type of music making, a wedding ensemble. It's like string, like wind, like a drum and all of that, and they all do some singing. It's so totally different. There's so many genres of music making in Cambodia, even right now, and just night and day. So they came and they greeted my grandfather, and he requested them to play something for us. They said the first song, I think it must be Kasang Krahom. It's something equivalent to Red Scarf. Okay, it was so beautiful. You wouldn't believe it. And then he asked for the second piece, then the third, and then the musician excused themselves. They said, "Sir, we have to walk another 5 kilometers to a village because we were engaged to perform at a wedding." Okay, and then I look at my grandpa. I said, "Grandpa, can I go with them?" And he said, "No, you're a little guy, 5 kilometers, you wouldn't make it." I was screaming and crying, because I wanted. Just to show it to you, it's not, I hope that I'm not talking about myself only, just think of yourself as student, this encountering will last forever. Okay, so skip back until now, like 10 years later, guess what? I conducted an expedition with the Dean of the Royal University and the team of director of the Singing Kai. We crossed the Mekong River, two rivers to a village, and we have people to run the Kai. We have the team. We had to call it a gun shooting to capture the sound, a beautiful sound. And then also recording in the studio and so forth. What is it? So the passion, the earlier impression that impacts a child can last a lifetime. And so I leave it there. And so let's say in the wedding music right now, I will show you, I will borrow a slide from the last talk. We call it Rabandang Wai, which is a dance offering to the environmental spirit and to the ancestors and so forth. And you will see that, it's only 5 or 6 minutes. It was performed last November in the park there. If you're familiar with San Francisco, I forgot the name of the park. It's just in front, in the middle of the commercial zone, and it was performed there. It involves 12 dancers to represent the Cambodian zodiac. Okay, you will see them dance, and it was the first time, I believe, in Asia that this project emerged instead of representing the myth, representing the tradition or the time cycle, the cosmic time cycle of 12 years, represented the horse, the dog, the chicken, the rooster, and so forth. Now they're live on stage, okay? And then, okay, I move forward. Needless to say that the environmental sound can impact you quite a bit, you know. I cannot have except cited Sigmund Freud. He said that you know what's going on when you are 2 years old, it will last forever. So it is a possibility. And so I don't know I'm saying the right thing or not, but your education right now is a formal type of educational situation that helps you to strengthen your dream, your passion, and helping you to work in the society, in the community, and so forth. It strengthens you quite a bit, the institution, okay? So informal and then formal type of educational situation, okay? So the influence is very strong on me anyway, all right? Let me see, the next one. In 1960, it was the first time that the Cambodian government opened her school of art, performing art, and the Conservatory of Music. I was one of the 9 students, first batch of students. So I've been probably 17 or so, I believe. But sadly, I went back home after the war. I found out that the older age were perished during the Khmer Rouge era, and this is typical. And so I'm happen to be alive because I left home before the Khmer Rouge era. Okay, I obtained the diploma there, and then came to this country, Manhattan School of Music. Okay, during that time, 1963, Cambodian-U.S. government broke their relationship, political relationship. So President Sihanouk was very upset about the U.S. And he made a point that no one allowed to go to the U.S. No one, including students and everything else. And my teacher, the French teacher, his name is Maurice Liebo. He's playing clarinet. I studied clarinet with him, and I'm on book 1. He's on book 2 on this. So we are chasing each other. All of a sudden, he came 1963 with his scooter, and imagine on the dirt road, and the conservatory, just a rental structure, 2 stories, and when the Mekong River really hit hit the banks of the river, flooded, you know, I had to take a boat to the school. And the piano had to be lifted on the top of a small table, and Madame Denos, the French teacher, sitting there, and overhead is next to the ceiling. And I was I was prepared to play, I think it's an A minor, no? I forgot the title, a little piano piece. And that was the first time I played for her, and that was the first time in the whole year that I played perfectly. So it was strange, but yeah. One thing might be a point of interest, if not funny, and that you could relate to yourself. How on earth I pick up an E-flat clarinet as the first instrument in Cambodia? Okay. So the government obtained a band instruments from a foreign country, and three of us will just hang out at the conservatory, and somebody came and said, "Oh, you guys, you need to go to this place here because they had to distribute to the instrument to the youth." Okay, so we went there quickly, arrived, and the French teacher was there, and but he didn't get mad or upset with us. We were lucky, and he went to the banana bush next, next to the fence, and when he came back, I saw him holding 3 straws, and I saw him tap it this way, and he hold it that way. So a short one, a medium length, and the longest length. So you don't see the back, you only see the tip, it's equal. And 3 of us, he asked each one of us to pick. My turn, then I picked it, I got the shortest one, so I became an E-flat clarinet player. So you see the destiny in a country like this, I don't mean good or bad, it depends on the circumstances. You cannot always determine and define something, okay? So my first gig, I'm playing in a funeral band. That was the Prince Sihanouk's father, King Saramarit, funeral, and we had to walk around the city, and I played that. And incidentally, I still find the funeral, the cortege of the funeral procession and so forth through internet. It's really interesting. Okay, now move forward. Let me see. 64. So I came. How did this make possible? How can I get out of the country while the government already declared that no one can go to America? So again, my French teacher saved my life. Each one of us, where we are standing now, it's not because you are the best, you are the strongest, so forth. A lot of help from other people, from your mentors, from your friends, from parents, and so forth. Okay, part of those things that make you come to an interesting point in your life. It came from elsewhere. Of course, yourself included, yeah. So Maurice Liebo came with his scooter and said, "Jump in." So he's a teacher. He didn't explain. He said, "Why? I have to go with you." But he was my teacher, so I jumped in. So he took off. We went to the Ministry of Education, looked for the minister under the name of Pisui, I think, if I mispronounce his name or what. And the secretary said, "Oh, he took a nap this afternoon, probably 2 o'clock or so." I said, "Okay, we go again." And so we arrived there at the complex, at the building, and I asked Maurice Liebo, I said, "Teacher, can you escort me, because I'm scared to death, and I'm 17 years old and holding a piece of paper and need an autograph from the minister." And Maurice Liebo looked at me and said, "Chinary, I'm not good term with him." I said, "Oh, okay." So I went there and I climbed up the stair. I knocked at the door. finally, a young man came and said, "Oh, minister is taking a nap." I said, "This is urgent. I know. Please, is it possible that I can have his autograph?" So finally, he came with a sarong and topless, and then he was half asleep. Obviously, he was like almost get mad at me because he's nap time, and then I said, "Minister, I really need your autograph and all that." I said, "No way. Our government doesn't allow anyone to get out to go to America because the diplomatic relation." And I said, "No, my French teacher, Maurice Diego, went to see Prince Sihanouk, the chief of state, okay, in Cambodia. That is a big villa for Sihanouk. And make a long story short, Maurice Diego mentioned to Prince Sihanouk, said, Chinary Ung, he's going to the U.S. To be trained in clarinet, in music, not politics." And then, according to Maurice Diego, said, "Okay, he can go. He can go. No, nothing in writing." Interesting. So just step back a little bit. In retrospect, no one really knows whether Maurice Diego, my teacher, cooked up the story or not, but it's so vivid, the story. And finally, when I told Pisui, the Minister of Education, and then he said, "Okay, give me your application you filed there," and then he signed it. He never picked up a phone to call the office of Prince Sihanouk or anyway, never really check it. So this is the most sensitive, delicate situation, how each one of you a destiny, life and death. If I were to be there, I would have been killed too during the chaos era. You know why? Because I wear glasses and smooth fingers. A pianist, maybe. So it's that kind of chance. So I came to study at Manhattan School of Music with Charlie Russo for a few years. I learned everything in this country, in the U.S. If the classroom, because I knew nothing about any period of Western music. Okay, the only two things I heard is Navy band music or something like that, French music in the palace, and the other one is when the New York Woodwind Quintet came to my school. That's and one movement of Mozart clarinet quintet, and then after it's finished, they said, "You have any question?" The member of the Woodwind Quintet asked that question, so I raised my little hand. I said, "This composer under the name of Mozart seemed to be very talented." Because that's the first time I heard. He said that he's composing with a scale up and down. It still makes sense to me. And they were laughing their head off because I didn't know who Mozart was, right? And when I came here, this is the point. When I came to the U.S., I make, aside from school, this is for you guys as students. Think about this one. Assignment from the classroom, like here, from your teachers, don't just fulfill that. You have to fulfill that, but give you extra assignment to amplify that, to doing a little research here and there. In my case, I have Mozart month from the library. I listen to Mozart like Symphony number 1 to 41, Tchaikovsky, and go on, Debussy and all that. in just like 1 year, I heard almost everything, and different conductor also. He said, why Trembler took it so slow in Beethoven, while this one is Tuscanini and so forth. You see, this kind of curiosity, because the reason I'm talking about that, not because I have gone through the experience, I said, the thing as student at your age, or as human being, my guess is like so much percentage of us never really give the opportunity to open up, to dive into a much deeper learning. Okay, so what should I say? There is another way of saying it. Okay, another way of saying it is that you bet through my understanding that you are 10 times stronger than you think you are. I don't mean in the egotistic way. No, I mean it honestly. So you have to go dive in deeper. You're learning from the external force, exposure from your teacher and so forth. But you also have to learn from the inner self as well. You can do that both ways and so forth. Okay, finished my master degree from Manhattan School of Music. Then there was a huge shift. I met a Chinese American under the name of Chou, C-H-O-U, Chou Bin-sung. He had a premiere of cursive flute and piano at the YMHA Kaufman Hall on 92nd Street, Manhattan. So I introduced myself, so I became his student. Okay, you said, is this by chance? Here you are again, another circumstance. So I became his student, you know. He invited me to his flat, and he was talking about composition and so forth. And I said, Professor So, you know, I'm just a poor student. I cannot afford private, a fee and all that. And he said, who's talking about money here? He said, don't worry about that. I'll figure out a scholarship for you. And so I became his student, and then I got a doctoral, they call it doctoral musical art in 1974 at Columbia University. Okay, have no job yet. I'm doing some copying for Carmen Moore for a number of interesting composers. Just to earn a living. I drove a taxi a little bit. If we run out of money, I remember I had my maroon hat and just do this at the, when people get out from the subway, they throw coin. It's only like 20 seconds, you get like more than $2. And you know how much a stamp cost me? 3 cents. Hot dog, 15 cents. A movie matinee, $1. Okay, seeing Clint Eastwood and so forth. So, moving on to, I think we still have some more time, am I right?
Yeah, maybe another 10 minutes or so, and then we'll
10 minutes, okay, thank you. Want to sort of talked about how this inspired moment from the childhood and until now has been put it together. So in a nutshell, my training was sort of, you can call it uptown composer. Columbia University, Princeton, belonged to the uptown. And at the time, it was a clear division. You have John Cage is downtown, you know. It was my first, my early opus is very much a takeoff from the serial type of composition, okay, like Pop's Webern and all of that, Tall Wind, if some of you happen to know that, and later on. But after my degree at Columbia University in 1964, I have an urge to go back to my childhood. I have an urge to go back to learn about my native country. I have an urge to look closely into the tradition. Okay, in 1979 or 80, and so I taught at Connecticut College. That was the first time that hit me very heavily. To see the Cambodian were perished during the chaos, and to see Cambodian refugees, artists, and all that left their country and came and so forth. So I picked up, gave myself an assignment to learn the Cambodian xylophone. I stopped playing for 35 years. I can't play well, and so forth. And we don't have time to go through that, but I give you a conceptual, imaginative type conceptual situation. Let's hope that can represent that era. Okay, if you imagine a circle, like drawing on the blackboard, okay, and you imagine straight from 12 o'clock to 6, a straight line, solid. The left is my composition, which is at the time still somewhat westernized in a way, okay, with some Cambodian flavor. And the right one is preservation, the art, the culture, performance. I became a Runit player, the xylophone player in the ensemble, and we accompany dancers and dance drama and so forth. So you have a solid line in the circle. And then later on, the solid line becomes dotted line. When you have dotted line, you have whole, the Cambodian music go through my music go in here and there, and then you have this kind of situation. Then years later, no dotted line, just a circle. It's just a circle. So I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry, this is my music and this is Cambodian music. No, I don't have to worry about that. And 10 years later, there's not even a circle. I just erase everything. So I stopped thinking about that. Okay, I stopped thinking about that. And so that's it. Okay, before we give the floor to you guys to ask questions, let's play the 5-minute. Let's review the 5-minute video here. Yeah. Is it ready to move? To go?
Here, I can start the video and then after that.
Yeah. And then I'll give the floor to you guys to ask questions. have some minutes to go. If you, for you to ask some questions. Yes, sir.
Would you mind saying something about 7 mirrors before I play it?
Okay. Believe it or not, 7 mirrors consists of 7 movements, but took me 7 years. But between those 7 years, I wrote all the pieces. Okay. Initially, I was thinking of 7 cadenza. Okay, but later on I said, no, I want to have subtitle, of each one. And I was thinking of not to do anything pretty avant-garde, like inside piano like this, all of these things. I just said, hey, just one on the key. And I want to have one piece like that, okay. Which movement will you be playing?
The first 3.
Huh?
The first 3? 1, 2.
The first 3. The first one is what? Sky. Okay.
Yeah, window in the sky.
Yeah, the window in the sky. And the second one?
Is dotted path.
Dotted path. Okay. The third one is?
Roar, lion of the heart.
That's not even 1 minute. And that's probably my favorite. It's all octave, so very simple. The first one is more abstract. Okay, here's important. I never knew that it's going to be 7 movements. I said, I'm going to start with this one, which happened to be the 4th movement, and then it is a given after I finish it. So after the 4th movement to finish it, I compose the 3rd movement, and the 3rd going to the 5th going to the 2nd going to the 6th going to the window of the sky, the first one, then I nail down the 7th. So it going in spiral outward like this. And that's the only formal structure that I come up with. That path is a little more impressionistic, maybe, no? Yeah, I'm thinking of the French impressionistic in painting, and as if you can see it from the top. Okay, so that I love French impressionistic, and the 3rd one is Lion of the Heart. Right, that is a clause I borrowed from from Rumi, the poet, the mystic, Rumi. He mentioned lion in the heart, and I was it because at the time I was interested. I said, in order to for my music to have some kind of anchors and all that, I need some physical thing. Lion at the heart is lion, so that's what I'm using the octave. And when I use the octave, I feel very funny. So no, I was a graduate from post serial writing, the school and all that. And now I'm using the octave and so forth. So and the 3rd, yeah, that's the 3rd one. That's right, and that's it. Yeah. You have any question? No. Would you like to play for us? Okay.
I'd like to say for people who are pianists that what was interesting for me, each movement is 1 measure. And there's also no time signature.
wonderful playing, yeah, marvelous. They just want to say a little bit about all the solo pieces in my repertoire. Okay, this is a chance for soloists like in this piece, or a cello like Sabut and other solo pieces to display and to express themselves. That's why you have mostly no bar lines, nothing at all, and so it's not just coming from me; it's coming from the player also. Yeah, okay. How many minutes do we have here?
We call it maybe 10-15 minutes for questions.
Perfect. That's good. That's good. Ask me anything, except something personal. I have to limit, All right. Yeah, they have two people here. You first. Yeah.
Yeah. So you said it took you about like 7 years to compose those pieces.
Right.
And so within those 7 years, how do you put yourself into like a creative mindset or like a creative process? How do you sit down and compose and get yourself ready to compose?
It took 7 years, not because I'm working every month, every year. It will be interrupted by an orchestral piece and all of that. Because this is a large structure, and I wanted each movement to be different, right? They all sound different, and so forth. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the last movement, you haven't tried yet. Those are the opening. Pa 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 ta 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 ta. I imagine I will sketch it down in a taxi from airport to UC San Diego. I had 20 minutes, so I sketched it down. I imagine a younger teenager playing electric guitar and playing in rhythmic unison. I'm just borrowing that idea a little bit. I don't mean to think about that from A to Z. Incidentally, number 4. Is it the title is Space? What is it? Space between what is it? May I see the score? Space between the fish and the moon. I got it. The exact clause from Rumi again, the famous 13th century mystic. Okay, and I love that. And that time, I invited the late Jonathan Harvey, a famous composer from the UK, and to UCSD. I hosted him. That we walked, and there was some drizzled rain. We almost arrived at my flat, And he said, "Chinary, are you writing?" I said, "This is very rare, Jonathan. It's very rare. I came up with the title before the music." He said, "Okay, what is the title?" I said, "A Space Between the Fish and the Moon," a clause from Rumi, right? He said, "Don't worry, you work so hard. Here's the moon on the right hand, and here on the left hand below is the fish, right? The fish and the moon, right? There's a space in the middle." And of course, he was joking, right? Then I challenged myself. I said, I challenged myself, and when you see that, you see the register is empty over here, okay? And when the second time, during that time he taught at Stanford, he said, "What happened about that movement, a space between the fish and the moon?" And I showed him the score. He was laughing his head off. I took it literally, and so I took it as a challenge. For the first time, I said, "Look, be silly sometime, and see it's working or not. It works. I hope so." Yeah. Okay. You have some moment. Yes.
So I was going to say, I noticed how you were talking about early in your childhood and during your education in America, you tried to combine Western classical music and Southeast Asian music in your life, like later in your life. I was going to say that in the pieces that I heard, there was like a lot of wide registral movement, and in the dance that we saw on the presentation, it seems like Southeast Asian music uses like a large waltz.
That is the most recent piece. I think that the one before the last one, it's get closer to home. But not only that, in our research, in our study when we were undergraduate and all that, in my case, we learned about Eastern music through tuning, to scale, to modes and all that, and through other things too. But my way of doing it, like this one, it sounds the Cambodian and all that, but you have technology-backed sample also. Like gong, like other thing, and you have, this is the first time for the Cambodian that musician that came together, 4 from Cambodia and 1 from Minnesota and the other one from Washington. This is the 6 of them played with the track. With the tape, and why I'm using that samplers in doing my recent pieces, because if I live in 100 maybe 120 years old or something, or 150, then this music could be performed live in Cambodia. Okay, but with technology, I can speed it up, and I still preserve the sound from home. Okay. Another thing that the Cambodians are now doing, doesn't mean good or bad. They never combine all the string, like the animal oxhorn, like various wind instruments are combined from the folk culture together. I even imagine. You see the chain, the pair, just an example, 12 dancers for 12 of this, okay? Because originally I was aiming on 2,023 pairs of chain for the opening of the Asian Olympic in Cambodia, the year of 2020. And I just want high school kids, girls and boys, at one point stand up with their dresses to create certain kind of logo, and they play that and so forth. And this one, the stage is very small. It's supposed to be a circle with 200 meter diameter. And inside you have 4 pinpit ensemble. Each ensemble probably 11 players, represent the north, represent the water, the fire, the earth, and the air, the wind. Okay, and so so you see how my piece, even for this piece on the piano, and then to the recent piece like the dance piece, is a huge difference already.
Yeah.
Huge difference. Yeah. Oh, so
when you're writing a piece, does it flow out as one piece, or are you writing small bits and adding to it?
The piece that I was commissioned and wrote for the Philadelphia Orchestra in 1986. At the time, I taught at UPenn. I had it at that time. I had that dream, very vivid dream. I taught at Northern Illinois University, and then each morning I wrote about the dream, put in envelope. After 5 morning, I opened all of them. The dream was very accurate. Okay, the dream, to be short, I was sort of invited telepathically to attend a ritual. That first scene in the dream. The second scene, I was on the 4th row and walked at dusk, and then I heard a woman chorus singing, and through the passage of time, I understood the text very well. It was her suicidal note to her parents. Said that, sorry, Mom and Dad, I have to go now because I am really disgusted about the society, about the fabric, about the torture, about the killing and all of that. And she was like very young teenager. And so then on that dream, I turned my head. Sure enough, in the dream, they left her body with this, and it was so dramatic. Now, you asked me and said, hey, Ung is the composer. How come he has this scene and all of that? have everything sort of make sense. It's a dream. It's a dream. You cannot control dream, right? And so yeah, and that's how I wrote In the Voices. That is a major piece for you guys. 20-minute piece. Yeah, it's how I make a translation from the dream to orchestral piece. Okay, so I slow down the march 10 times to like 10 pulses. So you have another one. You have a string orchestra sustain, and you have the solo is the dead body of the of herself is represented by the English horn and so forth. Okay, so I was able to make a translation. I believe that in the art, first of all, you cannot imitate the art. Why should you imitate nature? Why should you? You can learn from nature. Why should I imitate anything at all? Okay, that's one question to you guys. The second one, yes, you need a little bit to anchor yourself, like 10 or 15% or so. So to answer your question, it became the beginning of the last third of Inner Voices, which is 19 or 20 minutes non-stop. So after I finished that translation of the dream sonically speaking, I work it leftward. And then I had opening the oboe just to invite in the spirit and all that. Yeah. Okay. So the good or bad, I don't know, but for notated music as a composer, the beauty is the silent, the rest, the blank pages. You know, you put a few notes in. For the piano, it could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be beginning. What is beginning anyway? So in the way you see the finger like this, you open this way. You develop it. You extend it. Then it becomes a certain 20 minutes or whatever. Do I answer your question? Yeah. Don't try to work from A to Z. That's for dictionary, like A, B. So that's more convenient thing. Okay. So yeah. Yes.
Do you have any personal musicians that you enjoy that you recommend to other people?
Yeah, there are musicians there right now. One thing that you should know: the past 20 years, so even longer than that, I happen to fall into one direction. Not sonically, but a direction. It means like I'm asking musicians, instrumentalists to use their voices. Right now, the latest piece for flute and piano, they all use their voices, chanting, reciting a text, or even singing a little bit, with pickup and all that. Yeah. And I invested on that. My former teacher, late teacher, was a little bit upset at me, but later on he supported me. He began to understand that two things, and then he even make a comment during a big festival the Cambodian bring into New York City more than like 120 performers and so forth. And when I was asked to conduct the expanded New York New Music Ensemble, my piece Aura for 10 players and 2 soprano, and he mentioned that about the conflict, the disagreement with him, but later on he gave in, he began to understand that what I'm doing, and he said a thing. He said one thing that you guys might want to keep. He said that it's like the Buddhist principle of a path that carry two vehicles. One like you play the viola. One is music to be heard. She is playing. And while she's singing, is music to be felt. Okay, and this is the path to enlightenment. You know, I don't believe that I will be enlightened or I will go to Nirvana or anything. No, I don't believe that. But it's a really interesting interpretation of my music from my teacher. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe one more question?
Yeah. Yes.
When looking back on your own work, do you ever cringe at it? Like,
Well, wait, what? Louder.
huh? Oh.
Go ahead.
When you ever look back on your own work,
Got
do
that.
you ever cringe on your older stuff? Like how one would look at like an old picture of themselves, or like I could have done this, or I could have done that, anything like that?
I got it. Or I mean changing or something.
Like you ever look back and wish,
No, you should let go. It's like your children. You know, don't try to change your children, your child. Just let go, but be aware of your shortcoming, right? So let me see another way of to answer this. Keep that as part of life. Keep that. You look at big structure. The famous, let's say, Cambodian Angkor Wat is the world's largest stone monument. You know, I mean that's a big deal. Yeah, you've seen the picture, you know, the MIT scientists, one lady and two gentlemen. They probably three of them were professors. They went there during the 50s or 60s or so. To study the stone monument. And one simple thing, the parameter of Angkor Wat, the Cambodian choose not to do the perfect square. They extended on purpose 6 feet, I remember. I have an article. Okay, that's the big topic for this moment here. And I interviewed the Native American on the street in New Mexico. I can confirm to you that they do have things that make it off a little bit to become human. They have an orange, let's say a tapestry, and then they have one single line underneath and so forth. Now I recall that one of the advisor or disciple of the Buddha over 2,500 years ago or so, I forgot her name. She, I cannot paraphrase her words, but in equivalent to this, she said, she's saying this, she said that imagine something like really white rectangular sheet, but with a little stain somewhere in that sheet, then it becomes perfection. And so I learned from her statement, so I think of Angkor Wat, the parameter and all that, we human make it to be of topic, of perfect, of perfection, if you will, then it's interesting. So when my student chewing on things, write and rewrite and all that, and I said, look, at one point when you are alone, if there's something from your inner self say, this is about right. In the art, as a creator, as a young creator, when something tells you it's almost right, it's right. But in calculus, in math, no. They want answer, they want number. Okay. I'll stop right here. And thank you so much, and thank you for the whole